The White House report is being released tomorrow. All right, guys, July 30th. Right now is July 29th. I am Crypto with Paul. This is the Coin Zone. Welcome back. Clap it up. Appreciate you guys for sticking it and tapping in with us here on this morning, on this Tuesday morning. All right, guys, a couple of things I want to run through. Actually, a ton of things today. So we're going to be here for a little while. So grab your popcorn and shut the hell up. Number one. Let's get right into it. The White House is set to release its digital asset report to the public this Wednesday, according to Bloomberg. All right, we covered this live last week when it was announced. We'll be covering it live tomorrow during its actual release. So make sure to stick around with us and join the live tomorrow to learn what's going on. Then, in the meantime, if you guys haven't subbed already, please go ahead and do that for me right now. Would really appreciate that. But what I would like to do here during this live for the next 20, 30 minutes or so is break down this report maybe a little bit, but I really also want to take a look at charts. Really, really exciting news, mostly about Bitcoin. I know we talked about Bitcoin already earlier on in this week, but to me, there's just too much exciting news not to talk about. Still leading the way. The dominance chart is still a little bit too high for us. Don't believe ETH broke 4K yet, so these are the numbers we're still waiting to happen. All right, so let's take a look at the charts real quick before I jump into the things. Just take a look at where ETH is at. The markets are down. They have been the past like 48 hours. ETH is barely up on the week now, still up 53% on the month, but we haven't broken 4K. Again, we've been testing very close. We got recently, just 2 days ago, 3,900. So I think there's still things that need to happen in order for us to see an influx in alts. We have seen things, right? Donald Trump became president. That October, November to January time period, things went up nicely, and now they are back to those levels, those lower levels. We need those to get back to the levels that we saw in November/January-ish, whatever time frame that was, if I remember correctly. And then from there, I mean, it's like all bets are off. So, chat, 10 of you guys on X just joined. Appreciate you guys. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking right now. If you haven't subbed, sub already. But the main thing I want to go through again, just getting rid of the ETH chart. Let's go here first. The reason why I want to talk about this is because in this White House report, you have a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Now, yes, Brian Armstrong just talked about it on the Sean Ryan podcast. We're going to look at clips there again. We looked at some yesterday. We're going to look at one more today. I also have like 4 other clips I want to play, all related to Bitcoin. There will be other assets in the strategic reserve. We will find out tomorrow. A lot of exciting, bullish information. We also might get a rate cut tomorrow. Tomorrow could be a huge day. But right now, this is what I'm looking at. All right. Bitcoin following the M2 money supply. This is one of a ton of metrics. Everybody's price predictions, supply shock, the continuation of buying from BlackRock, from countries all around the world. The clip I'm going to play by Brian Armstrong talked about how all these nations are going to have a Bitcoin strategic reserve. So we've all seen this chart before, maybe, hopefully. You've been in crypto long enough. I'm sure you've seen it at some point. This chart represents what happens to the price of Bitcoin when massive amounts of money is printed and put into the overall circulation, which is the M2 money supply. Now, if Bitcoin were going to continue on this same path, which, I mean, it literally follows it almost identically, we would be looking at $150,000 Bitcoin. Now, that's one price prediction. Let's take a look at here. This is the diminishing golden curves. Kind of similar to the rainbow chart. The next target for Bitcoin is between 160 and 170. All right, so this is perfectly in line. We went from 150 to 160 to 170. What's going on here? Jack Mahlers. Bro looks like he's 13. I don't get it. Literally looks like he's 13 years old, but he has more money than all of us probably on the stream combined. Jack Mallers' firm 21 Capital plans to acquire 5,800 more Bitcoin ahead of its upcoming public listing, bringing their total to 43,500 Bitcoin. If you guys don't remember 21 Capital, this was a project put together to rival Strategy. This is going to be a publicly traded company to rival Michael Saylor's Strategy. I think, what was it, Tether? Some of these guys put together this firm and basically asked Jack Mallers to be the face of it. I believe we went over this when 21 Capital came about a couple months back here in the pregame. Excuse me, here in the Coin Zone. Wow. Why is this important? Well, number one, 21 Capital and Jack Mallers are not the only one doing this. Number two, it's big for 21 because what I do remember is they are going to make all their holdings completely public, which Michael Saylor's Strategy does not do. So that could be a huge point, a huge selling point for individuals looking to get into some sort of strategy play that doesn't want to go with Michael Saylor. Samson Mao. If the world understood Bitcoin, we would be at 10 million a coin now. I mean, any pro Bitcoiner is going to say that, right? So, I mean, it just depends on how you look at it. But it's all game theory. It's all game theory. And when you have the Max Kaisers of the world in 2014 saying that, yeah, at some point, Bitcoin's price is going to be 100,000. That seems insane, right? That probably seemed insane to 90% of people at the time. When Max Kaiser in 2014 was saying Bitcoin's probably going to be 100,000 coin at some point, people probably thought he was off his rocker, on drugs, insane. But guess what? Here we are. Bitcoin's over 100K. It's not so crazy after all. So 10 million. Michael Saylor's target is 1 million, 10 million, higher than that, I believe, at some point beyond 2030. So at this point, especially when you have the entire world starting to buy this asset as a reserve, it doesn't seem crazy. Bitcoin is coming for gold's market cap. That is more than a 10x increase. That's like a 12, 15x increase, I believe, in market cap for that to happen. If I'm good at math, if I remember correctly off the top of my head what gold's market cap is, I mean, either way, that's on the table. I don't think it's far-fetched. It's on the table. And these are very, very smart individuals. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to share something else. We're going to play a couple clips for you guys. Let's just go back to what's going on tomorrow. The U.S. crypto report due July 30th. But they are confirming a national Bitcoin strategic reserve. This was something Trump ran on, and it hasn't happened yet. And I know Bitcoiners are still a little upset about it. So we'll get some clarity tomorrow, and we'll see what the heck is going on. All right. In the meantime, guys, here is what we're going to do. We're going to take a listen to what they are saying here on CNBC. So let's listen.
The Trump administration is expected to release its first national crypto stockpile report on Wednesday stateside, detailing the structure and contents of the government's digital assets. This includes holdings under the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve and the U.S. Digital Asset Stockpile, which consists of cryptocurrencies seized through legal enforcement actions. Investors are eager to know how much Bitcoin the U.S. government actually owns. The report could also recommend national security and banking access reforms for crypto firms. We're back with Jordy.
Great. All right. Donald Trump put out a tweet months ago that talked about a strategic reserve in crypto, and he mentioned multiple cryptos outside of Bitcoin. XRP, Cardano. Tomorrow we will find out if that is still happening. I believe that's the clarity we're going to be getting, is We're getting a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Great. What about everything else? Is XRP still going to be involved? Is ADA still going to be involved? These are questions that we need answered, and hopefully we'll find out tomorrow. All right. First one down. I have 3 more videos to play for you guys, all very relevant on today's topics. If you don't know who Sean Ryan is, I implore you to check out his YouTube channel. He's a great interviewer, and he has on great guests, and he's genuinely just very inquisitive and fair-hearted, and I think he just wants to learn. He has a great podcast. We just saw Charles Hoskinson on it last week, 2 weeks ago. Insane amount of views. Brian Armstrong just sat down with him this week. Tons of viral clips are coming out of it. But this one right here. Brian Armstrong said every G20 country is looking to buy Bitcoin for their reserve. When you see shit like that, excuse my language, when you see things like that, the 10 million a coin that Samson Mao is predicting does not seem crazy. So let's listen to Brian here.
Yeah, well, President Trump passed this executive order creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve and then a crypto asset stockpile to hold some of these other ones as well. A lot of people don't know, but the U.S. actually holds strategic reserves of a number of different assets. So gold is probably the most famous one, but there's a bunch of other ones that they hold. Like there's an oil strategic reserve. There's like palladium. I think there's a bunch of like rare minerals, and so it's kind of a historic step where the United States government is saying, actually, we think Bitcoin is another strategic asset which should be held by the U.S. government. This would have been unthinkable, by the way, like 5 years ago, where the government was so skeptical of it, and now like the United States government is holding a stockpile of these Bitcoin assets. So that was a huge moment. It kind of, by the way, now that the U.S. is doing this, I think like the rest of the G20 countries and central banks are all starting to look at this. It just kind of instantly legitimized it. And President Trump, to his credit, he said he wants to be the first crypto president in the United States and certainly in the world. Like he's all in on this. He's like, America has to lead here. This is a technology to update the financial system and become a financial center of the world, which is important for American power. So he's kind of gone all in on it. And I think the rest of the G20 are now looking at this as a model to follow.
Man.
Nice work. Yeah, that's where we're at, guys. This is what's going on here. All right. Let's just take a look at more stuff here. Everyone's favorite guy. Everyone's favorite traditional financial guru. Mr. Jim Cramer. All right. Jimmy C just said live on CNBC today, all right, that Bitcoin is a hedge against the U.S. becoming Weimar Germany. This is wild. I mean, Jim, where are we at, guy? The inverse Jim Cramer Trader X account, probably still outperforming him. But at this point, I don't care whether the guy mentions Bitcoin or not. At some point, like a year ago, 2 years ago plus, it was always funny when he mentioned it because it's Jim Cramer. Now it's like, who cares? The price is not going to be affected, whatever Jim says. And it's a pretty big statement. Jim's flipped. We're seeing guys like Jake Tapper and his co-host on some of these media outlets like CNBC starting to flip. They've had guys like Anthony Pompliano on. They've had plenty of guys on to learn from. And I think over the years, finally, they're starting to get it. So let's listen to silly ass Jim here. Make some pretty good statements, actually. Let's take a listen.
It's not about Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin, you can put it in the speculation basket, but at the same time, how many companies, we're just going over these numbers, are raising money to buy Bitcoin? Well, it's enormous.
I was
in fact,
chance to do it. I said,
far more
I
than has been raised by companies going public.
It's because it's almost encouraged. I mean, the SEC chief is like,
This is a very crypto positive administration, no doubt about that. That's a real positive for all of the different.
Saying it's also a great hedge against the budget deficit.
Well, it may be seen.
Which is what it is.
Michael Saylor would say that, right? Store of value.
I was with someone whose son took his paycheck and bought Bitcoin. I started a job, a good job, 5 years ago, and now it doesn't really have to work. And he's totally hedged. The kid's hedged. Father has to work. I'm not getting into kids' heads. Look, I mean, this is happening. We don't want to talk about it, or maybe it's FIMAR 23.
Well, I mean, it's not often you create a new asset class and then write the regs around it in real time at the same time. That's different. And we don't know what that's going to bring.
Well, like the guys from Circle, I mean, I said that maybe there's a possibility that JP Morgan or BlackRock could do a stablecoin. And you get the usual emails, just like, you don't know what you're talking about. It's too much bigger. I've gotten more, I don't know what you're talking about emails. And it's like, I just like so many, and it's like great. Because every time I know I don't.
That's insane to me.
I know what I'm talking about.
I mean, it's absolutely crazy to me. Like, Trad talks about this stuff with, barely even understanding it. I don't know. Interesting to me. Last clip I want to play for you guys. This is Jordy Visser, TradFi guy, regular guest on the Anthony Pompliano show, from the desk of Anthony Pompliano. His new show is called. If you don't know who Pomp is, he's a very educational, great, smart guy to listen to. Great YouTube channel. Jordy Visser is very smart as well. They have weekly sit-downs, I believe, but it's nice to see Jordy on news stations like this. I'm going to turn the music down a little bit. Music is a little loud for me. But let's listen to what Jordy has to say here. And I just want to drive home with this quick live with you guys here that we do multiple times a day. This one in particular, I just want to focus on all the bullish Bitcoin news because there's a lot right now. I'm going to be closing it out with some Litecoin stuff. If you guys saw the title for the video, Litecoin is not something I really pay attention to. However, I like it, I respect it, I get it, and I think it actually has a market fit. And seems to be a lot happening, actually, so we'll see what happens. But I'll get to that in a sec. Let's just listen to this clip by Jordy Visser, and we'll go from there.
In first Bitcoin as being the S&P 500 of the future. I've said it repeatedly. I'll continue to say it. In a world where AI disrupts all businesses, every single business will be disrupted by artificial intelligence as we go forward. I just don't feel people have spent enough time on it. What Bitcoin represents is something which is outside the current system. It will continue to gain strength. I think on the last program, I said it would go above 200,000 this year. I still not only believe that, I think there's higher highs for it going forward. I think this is something that people at least need to focus on as a small portion of their portfolio, if for no other reason that I think from a standpoint of what is a certainty going forward, the current existence of the framework we have in capitalism is changing going forward. And if people don't believe it, they need to have some sort of a hedge. And Bitcoin and Ethereum themselves are at least combined a good way to do that. If they want to get in the treasury companies, they just have more risk, but I think they'll also work for the near term.
All right. So Jordy just said as well, his price target is over 200K. So we've had and shared all of these different pieces of, we've shared all these different price points. We shared all these different predictions. We're looking at all these different charts. We're looking at the continuation of insane amounts of Bitcoin continuing to be bought by the 21 capitals, the BlackRocks. Now all these different countries around the world are going to start adopting Bitcoin strategic reserves, according to Brian Armstrong. What is there not to be bullish about? Tomorrow's a big day, guys. And again, subscribe here because we will be going live tomorrow covering exactly what is in the release of this digital assets report. We're going to find out, will XRP and ADA still be included in the digital stockpile? How much Bitcoin is going to be included for the strategic reserve? Are we going to be selling gold to buy more Bitcoin like Cynthia Lummis wants us to? There's a lot going on here. We need answers. And tomorrow we'll get them. So the deadline is tomorrow to get this report out. It will be released tomorrow. Multiple individuals have been discussing its release already. Very, very interesting to me. Now, let's move on from the Bitcoin charts and talk about Litecoin. I gotta be honest, chat. This is not something I would ever consider talking about. Like I said, Litecoin's cool to me. It's still here. It's still doing its thing. The charts aren't horrible. It's still out here with integrations. Still out here with crazy transaction volume I had no idea about. So if you are a holder of Litecoin, let me know in the comments. And let me know your reasons why. But I think Litecoin is a nice obvious silver to Bitcoin's gold. I know Caspa aims to be really this silver to Bitcoin's gold, but we shall see. So this is from Joshua Roomsberg. Congrats to Litecoin. Just in, PayPal has introduced Pay with Crypto, allowing merchants to globally accept Litecoin. Let's move on. This is what blew my mind, and partially why I wanted to talk about this. And I'm going to look more into this afterwards, but like 16.59 billion process and transaction volume on the Litecoin network. That has flipped ETH and stablecoins, USDT and USD in transaction volume. What? I love the success of cryptos, but a part of me like almost doesn't even believe this. Like, who do you guys know anybody? All right, this is not working at all. Trying to zoom in. I'm not trying to be like shade Litecoin community member, Litecoin as a whole. Like, I'm just genuinely, I had no idea Litecoin was out here doing this. Like, is this real? That's crazy to me. If anyone has, like, look at the comments. What? And then let's continue. Lark Davis. Shout out to Lark. Lark Davis talking about Litecoin. But look at this setup here. Healthy looking chart. Like, I like the charts where it's just like, there's some charts I look at, I'm like, I'm not touching that shit. And then there's some charts where it's like a Litecoin right now, where you look and it kind of seems like, all right, maybe a little undervalued at the moment. It obviously had a large retracement, but there could be potential for a massive upswing back to higher levels, back to maybe an all-time high, up 52% on the year, just about where ETH is at. But look at the chart, guys. This is what I honestly want to see. All right. During these times, crypto is barely a thing. It took adoption a while. All right. Litecoin was doing its thing up a little bit. 2017 comes about. Well, bam. All right. That's a big increase. Now, 2021 bull run. Well, bam. But barely the well, bam higher than this one. So what you want to see is bigger gains. You know, you're going to have diminishing returns over time. But can Litecoin not spike back up to this level here or this level here, you know, when it was a little higher back in 2017, $420. I mean, we didn't even get there in 2021 bull run. It kind of just matched it. So this is like if Bitcoin never went back over $100,000. It's like if Bitcoin just got to 65,000 again. So I don't know what's going to happen with Litecoin. I do think it's interesting. I do think it has a lot of staying power. It's already been in the industry now for over 10 years. One of the longest standing cryptos. I mean, still in what, the top 20? Is it a top 20 still? No. Let's see here. Probably top 25. I mean, yeah. Yeah, so top 15, 20 asset. I mean, Litecoin's been around. But what I'm focused on is something like a Cardano. Because I think it's pretty obvious that the runs up that a coin like Cardano has, what we saw in 2021, $3.10. I think that's easily replicatable right now. Very, very easy. Cardano is probably, in my mind, and again, guys, I'm not speaking for anybody except for myself. Cardano is one of the easiest 5Xs in the entire space, in my opinion, for the next, you know, over the next year, whatever your time frame is. I've been waiting since 2021, since these levels here. I was waiting for them to do it again now. That's what I'm waiting for, guys. But in my opinion, the amount of insane development since this time here, insane development Cardano's had. Staking was just like introduced. I don't even think staking was around here. The ecosystem is a million times bigger, better, more efficient, more advanced, more users, more adoption, a million more dApps built on top of it. You know, there's some people out there who tend to think that any proof of stake project is just shit because it's not proof of work, and that means there's no real security, I think that's so stupid. Until Cardano gets hacked or goes down, then I'll listen to you. But just to think that only proof of work projects are good and secure is really stupid in my eyes. This stuff can get very complex, but until you know down to the very T exactly how these protocols operate, then you can't call it shit or a scam or anything, because then you're just spreading lies. All right. And this is indicative of every coin in the space, not just ADA, everything. The most insane community is XRP, in my opinion. Insane XRP community is. XRP is the biggest mover in the top 10 this year. 400% to ETH's 50 something. All right. But when it comes to a community, the XRP community, if you say one little bad thing, they will try to kill you. Pause. I don't know if that's, should I have said that? I don't know. But you get what I'm saying. It's a joke. They don't actually want to do that. They get very angry, combative, and they call you names. I had to block somebody that I interviewed in the XRP community because this man started literally harassing me. Like, I'm not kidding. Harassing me every day on X, calling me names just because I wouldn't agree with him that Bitcoin was a scam, which it is not. So, yeah, guys. But when it comes to the technicals, if you want to talk ish about XRP, you got to know how it works. You got to know how it works. Here we are with XRP, back over $3, finally broke an all-time high after, what was it? How many years is it? I don't remember how many years. So if we can do math here. Yeah, almost 7-8 years. It finally broke its all-time high. But why is that? Well, legislation finally getting passed, more clarity, winning SEC cases. But again, guys, if you're going to talk anything about any of these coins here, you got to know what you're talking about, because the diehards in those communities will come after you. And there are a lot of them. So this is breaking news as of like 20 minutes ago. The US and China have agreed to extend their trade truce. Phenomenal. Something is off to me about this picture. It's like a copy and paste, like both sides are identical. Like you look in a mirror, like look at their hand placements, like both in the same little area. They're both looking back slightly, little slight smirk on the face. Trump looks like she might have just farted. Maybe look at him. He's like, oh, Jesus. Got some rice farts up in here. I don't know. Maybe that's what's going on. But they agreed to a trade truce. What a tongue twister. And that's where we're at. This is big news. We have bigger news coming tomorrow with the release of what we're going to see with this report. And this has been my report. All right, guys. Once again, my name is Crypto with Paul. This is the Coin Zone. If you haven't subbed already, make sure to sub for me, guys. Because if you appreciate this content, if any of you have actually stuck with me during this 29 minutes, or for how many minutes you're with me and you enjoyed it, I appreciate if you subbed. Because we're doing this every single day, guys. Like every going live. And we have better forms of content as well. Our longer form educational videos always have shorts. So make sure to sub. See you next time. I'll see you here shortly again for another live here today. So stick around for that one. And I will see you guys again soon. Appreciate it.